Do people have knee fetishes? Is that a thing? If it is, what's my rating? Actually, I don't want to know.
Hi. Oh.
This week is all about cameras. Our guest needs no introduction, but I'm gonna give you one anyways. Her already long list of credits first began when she was still in high school, becoming a staple filmmaker at the TIFF Next Wave Jump Cuts Showcase. Since then, her work has been screened in over 100 festivals and has garnered more than 40 awards worldwide. Most recently, she was nominated not once, but twice by the Canadian Society of Cinematography for her short film Wild and short documentary Lost Time, with her eye always on the prize and in the viewfinder. It's Morgana McKenzie. Morgana. Cinematographer, a colorist, and a director, and writer. You kind of wear all these different hats. And I wanted to hear your take on how these different hats have influenced you as a DP, particularly when you directed projects. What has directing taught you about being a good DP, and what has DPing taught you about being a good director?
I started this whole filmmaking journey just by doing both directing and shooting at the same time. I was 12 and didn't really understand that the director didn't also shoot their own movies. Being able to have that kind of creative control to experiment and create a lot and fail a lot in these early years and do that just with yourself was just kind of enriching. It really made me value prep. If you have a core understanding of what you're trying to accomplish and what the goals are, work out any kind of kinks or quirks beforehand. It's really just going to benefit you on the day. In terms of what being a DP has taught me about being a good director, I would say that I've learned a lot from my documentary shooting as a DP, that, you know, you really set the tone, whether you think you do or not, for the people around you, especially the on-camera subjects. The general attitude that you put out towards everything when you're working is just really going to influence the way other people's morale works and the way the image kind of comes together.
When you're working in doc, how do you determine what kind of visual language or style is going to be at the forefront of the film, despite not knowing necessarily what kind of footage you're going to be capturing?
Documentary, in my opinion at least, generally boils down to predetermined location with a general sense that one of a few things could or will happen. And even if it's entirely run and gun and you have no idea, I'm a really firm believer that you can always go into these situations with an anticipated tone and goal in mind. I think you can really start to hone in on a personalized visual style by just asking yourself really simple questions like, where is this scene going to take place in the broader arc of the film? Is this a big emotional stake for the movie? Is this the climax of the movie? How can we contrast or mirror this moment with other things that we know we already have shot or we're about to shoot? So by having those kind of really creative conversations with the director beforehand and really exploring all your options and getting to the nitty-gritty by just asking yourself these simple questions, I think you can really start to feel like you're on the same page so that when we go on to set, we're not lost together.
So you're repped by Vanguard Artists Management. Can you tell me a little bit about that experience of getting representation?
I'm very newly represented. I signed with Vanguard last year. It was shortly after my nominations at the CSC Awards. They came across Lost Time. It was public online and they reached out to me. Having representation has helped encourage me with what my career could look like and what I should be pushing towards. I really felt like they welcomed me with open arms and were really interested in hearing about my interests and my journey and what I'm specifically looking to achieve, rather than pushing some sort of vision or goal onto me that this is what you should be doing. At an early point in your career, that's just so incredibly invaluable.
Do you have any resources for DPs that are starting out?
If there are cinematographers or people that you look up to, that you take the time to find interviews with those people, especially in things like the American Cinematographer magazine or the Canadian Cinematographer magazines, looking at why you like them and trying to understand their workflow. If you're looking to get into documentary, I'd highly recommend watching Kirsten Johnson's documentary Camera Person. Just such an amazing study of what being a camera operator and documentary cinematographer can look like. Aside from that, I would highly recommend that anyone who is even the least bit interested, and even if you're not, to learn to color grade. I think having a deeper understanding of what you can do in post is just really going to inform the decisions that you make on set. And I found specifically a lot of really helpful insights from this site called mixinglight.com. You know, they're not throwing technicals at you. They'll agree with you and say like, yes, this is confusing. Let's figure it out together.
That concludes this fantastic interview.
This was so fun. I'm so thrilled.
I mean, it's soundbite after soundbite after soundbite of inspiring words. Morgana, thank you so much for being on the show and for sharing your knowledge. She's a queen, you're a queen. I'm sweaty. Good night.